In a not so surprising turn of events, UFC 5 is now on sale within a month of its release after a justifiably bad reception. On GameStop and Amazon, we see it's being sold for $49.99, a whopping $20 off the usual asking price for newly released AAA titles. On the PlayStation Store, the deluxe version is $69.99, which was originally $100. I'm so sorry to whoever spent $100 on this game and wasn't like a YouTuber, but if you were waiting for a discount, don't buy it just yet, because Walmart is going to have the game for $40 on Black Friday, so literally like 2 days from now, and that's another $10 discount. After 3 years, there was virtually no significant improvements made to the game besides the submissions and grappling sequences, at least that I can see. EA is notoriously bad for adding new customization options, especially when they're not microtransactions. So the tattoos and hairstyles for custom fighters, they're still the same. I really wanted this game to be good because I'm such a big fan of the UFC, you know? I want to be able to enjoy playing super fights of my own, but I'm not desperate enough to settle for a shitty game. It sucks because UFC is pretty much the only sports organization I've actually followed closely since 2015, 2016, and I've been itching to play a vastly improved UFC game with high hopes since it was only coming to current gen and was announced to be on a new engine, you know? Like, that was good. What could go wrong with that? Well, a number of things. Like, this might seem picky, but one of the biggest gripes I have with this game is the character models. Why are their bodies still so wide and long? Why do the fighter shorts look so unnatural? Like, watching gameplay of Sean O'Malley, a pretty tall, somewhat lanky bantamweight, have the body of a welterweight in UFC 5 just takes away from the experience. Let's not even mention how bad they butchered Aljo's character model. That does not look like Aljo in the slightest. How hard is it to get the biggest UFC stars in for scans so we can get better models? I'm tired of them looking like fucking stick people. Am I being too stupid to think that it'd be reasonable for them to bring in fan favorite fighters to hit a heavy bag so they can better capture their fighting style in a game that's supposed to have a huge focus on simulation? Otherwise, what exactly is the point in choosing different fighters other than their stats? Why do they keep charging us for the same fighters like Mike Tyson and Bruce Lee in the deluxe editions? Why not just have them on the rosters already? By the way, the roster the game dropped with featured no additional fighters from the most recent updates to the UFC roster back in July. I remember watching this press conference shortly after it dropped. Dana had to ask reporters at a press conference who they wanted to see added to the game.
And finally for me, UFC 5 is coming out. One of the biggest critiques and negatives about it is the roster of the game. It's missing tons of ranked fighters. I know you really don't have any say in that, but like, could you push to get more fighters in the game?
Yeah, who's not in the game that we should be upset about?
Like Sean Brady or Adrian Yanez or Nate Landwehr, all these fun fighters, top 15 fighters. It's basically a copy and paste from UFC 4. There's missing fighters.
Well, I would assume there's only so many people you can put in the game. So I'll tell you what, do this for me, right? Give me the list of guys that you think should be in the game, and give me the list of guys that you think should be taken out to put them in the game.
Well, I mean, there's like Paige Van Zandt in the game.
So Paige should go?
Juice Formiga is in the game.
Who?
Juice Formiga is in the game.
Okay.
Bruce Buffer's in the game.
Can't take Buff out.
Cold-blooded. All right, who else? Me? Get me out of that motherfucker. Who else?
Apparently, Paige Van Zandt is still on the roster, but they couldn't let Francis Ngannou slide. Paige Van Zandt hasn't been in the UFC since 2020. According to Comic Book Gaming, EA's response to the lackluster UFC 5 roster was that they basically admitted it didn't meet expectations, and their excuse was that they wanted to keep adding to the UFC 4 roster while they were developing UFC 5 instead. This left me scratching my head because who the fuck said they had to release UFC 5 this year? They could have delayed it. After all, they still have the license for another 7 years. Now, their goal is to bring new fighters every month, which is fine, but you'd think they would have felt some sort of urgency to add at least a few fighters right now after letting their fans down. Well, no. You'll have to wait till December for that. They have the lineup for the next few months already, so my question is, are these fighters ready to be dropped already and they're just holding out for the sake of them saying that they're providing content? Or have they not even started making them yet, or what? Like, I have a hard time accepting that such a big company like EA didn't have enough resources to dedicate to adding fighters to the roster during development so they could have a better received launch. Also, Herb Dean is the only referee in the game. They couldn't be bothered to add any of the like 8 referees we've seen for years, like Jason Herzog, Mike Beltran, Mark Goddard, Mark Smith, Dan Mergliotta, Keith Peterson, any of them. I wasn't going to make this video till I saw an ad from UFC's Instagram page, because I haven't even bought the game. Dude, I can't bring myself to buy it. They reused the reveal trailers, like CGI-ish fucking video thing, you know what I'm talking about? And basically just put like bullshit reviews over it, but no one is falling for it. All the top comments are calling out the review scores. Most notable is IGN's 9 out of 10 review. I don't know who Tanner Smith is, but he's either smoking dick or they gotta be supplying hookers and blow, because he's out of his mind with that review. And it's sad because the casual gamer will just look at review scores from these spineless reviewers and base their purchases off of that. So this whole game just seems very, very lazy, and I'm disappointed that it's been 3 years and you could hardly tell it apart from UFC 4. Needless to say, I'm gonna wait for the deluxe edition to go back to $100 so I can buy a few copies. And yeah,